basically, when I was a kid, we were always shown, like, don't use the retard word, um, and whatever is fine. You can call things whatever you want to call them. They still are what they are. So what's happening in, in reality outside of people fixating on words is that people are failing to connect with each other on a, not just mentally, not just like on that level, but, right, it has its, emotional side effects and all that, because a lot of times we don't even know what someone's talking about yet. We feel the need to comment on it, or we don't even know what someone really means when they say they're going through something, but we feel the need to fix it for them or whatever, right? And then, so you can see how mental health is a huge factor in these types of dynamics. So what had happened, I don't know what happened, but for some reason, it's just become the norm for people to like work around mental health instead of just dealing with it directly, person to person, like looking at ourselves and being like, hey, I probably shouldn't, assume these things about people, or these are the types of things that, nobody can really say about, anybody, because how can you possibly know what another person is thinking, feeling, going through? And even if you have that power, most people that have that type of gift, it's from a it flows from God. It's not like they're going to be using it to like figure out what you're thinking about constantly. What tends to happen is these people use their gifts respectfully, and so a lot of people, I think a lot of us are just confused. I think a lot of us want to be confused. We like to sit in this like misery with people and pretend to be victims, whatever. That's fine. Like it doesn't bother me to know that part of it. But what's happening because of these things is people constantly confusing themselves and then wanting to fight this war. So there's like an addiction now to all this, right? Differentiate between the people that are just confusing themselves and being childish and really aren't affecting anybody because people know who these people are. They're open about their stupidity, basically. Like, I personally, I don't think I make a shit ton of mistakes, but when I do make a mistake, I say it publicly. I don't have a problem becoming better than my mistakes. Okay, so there's this whole other type of person, though. There's this whole other type that they're literally shitting themselves, trying to hide who they really are, what their true intentions are. And these people can also be mentally handicapped. So, because everybody's brains are working on different levels, different connections, different types of energies, right? So let's just keep it simple. Let's just say energies. In that sense, you can look at it as just different groups of people having no fucking idea how to be well-rounded, how to be, even begin to try to connect with other types of people. They literally cannot relate. And I was never taught this as a child for some reason. It's just something that you notice, like, the more you pay attention to people, that, like, they really don't comprehend things sometimes. It's not that they don't want to. They just literally can't. They have to practice those types of behaviors so that the neuron pathways can get stronger for them, and then they can just do it habitually. And so I think a lot of us were lucky to have good parents that just were very disciplined in disciplining us. And it's unfortunate that some of us who should have had really amazing lives, should have been amazing people, because we're also gifted people in other areas, just end up throwing all of that away because I don't know why. I can't say I know why, but my assumption is going to be that these people didn't practice having discipline in people, in knowing people. Talk to any entrepreneur, watch any speaker, Simon Sinek, Tony Robbins, anyone they look extremely successful in their career that studies people, they will tell you the same thing. If you don't know people, you don't know business. And so these people that were sort of, like I said, I'm not going to say they were raised wrong, but, because some kids get, have great parents, but yet they can't seem to figure themselves out, and vice versa. But for whatever reason that these people are failing to connect with others on a personal level, it should be looked at as a mental illness. Us failing, everyone in the world failing to see that is a mental disease, how do I say this, that this person literally cannot change unless it becomes a collective effort of everybody recognizing what they are, what they're going through. We're just gonna keep enabling it. I don't think anybody needs to be punished. I don't think anyone needs to go, take some sort of action. People confuse themselves so much, man. That's all part of it. Like, nobody needs to do anything. So if you start with that, and then you recognize that everybody around you is doing what they're doing because that's all they can do, because everyone's trying their best. Even the people who aren't, they're trying to try their best. Does that make, it's a conundrum. But they really are. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they be? These are matters of the mind. And so they can't be, wow. I hate when that happens, when I have a word that's so specific that I can't think of it. Anyway. These matters cannot be addressed systematically. There will be no government agency reaching out to us for that. There's no AI, no program. Some things are just simply gonna have to come to us, spiritually, or something that we're gonna learn from simply watching another person and following that person's lead. It can't, because in the effort of trying to address these issues, it ends up making it worse because they're issues that really shouldn't have to be addressed, right? So, I'm sorry if this is super confusing, but for the people that have ears to hear this and eyes to see, I know that very few people are understanding this, but it's for you. And maybe you understand something that a lot of people haven't come to understand yet, and that's why it's perfect example, right? So people are gonna kind of react. People could react to that, let's say, and some people won't. But the people what the fuck? Oh, I thought something happened. Never mind. The people that are reacting, it's that's funny. I just saw 10:01 again. I saw it the other day. The people that are reacting, it's because same thing with them. It's matters of the mind. And so we cannot even help those people. We shouldn't even waste a second of our time trying. When we get to a point when we're focused on the people that we can help, and that we know we are more like those people, that's when everyone's going to start seeing the changes, the miracles happen, all this, all these prophecies will come to life naturally. It's natural. It's not anything like someone didn't like sit behind a computer and like, make this up. These things were for a very long time were meant to happen. And so we've started to see a lot of the effects of that, but we're still in the middle of it, so it's nothing to panic over. Oh my god, I've been going so long. It's been a really long time since I've seen my son, so like I know a lot of people are happy about that for whatever reason, and like I don't even feel a need to react to it. I used to feel like, oh, I better do something, I have to, but like once that shit was spoken, that's it. We live in a world where this is the age of information. None of that shit's gonna be like hidden from public eyes, I'm not stressing about it. They did what they did, I responded, and I'm done. And there's just no need to react to the same dumb shit anymore. But I'm still obviously not gonna say that I'm not still sad about it, that I don't miss my son. That would fucking like that's kind of irrelevant. I'm always gonna miss my son when he's gone for a long time, no matter what the case is. But yeah, definitely, especially in the case where it was unexpected, we couldn't even plan for it. I couldn't even, give him an explanation. He's thinking like, he's stressing out, thinking it's gonna be forever. So, so that's like the worst possible way it could have happened. That's how it happened. But like, just recognizing that, like, it's perfect. It's okay. It's exactly what the fuck it is. Horrible. And that's okay. 'Cause these types of things, way worse things happen. But I'm not saying this because I think people need help, like, dealing with something. That's not my point here. We all have this habit of reacting, and it's a good habit, but we need to tone it down in places where people are not going to respond positively to it, because there's just like a comedian when he wants to tell like a really funny joke, but the what do they call it, mass media, I don't know if I'm using the right word, mass media, mainstream media hasn't really caught on. So if the joke isn't like about someone that's like in the spotlight 24/7, and they're like, are people gonna get the joke, so they don't tell, they just leave that out. That's their aim, right? Yeah, that's our problem. Like, we're just like constantly reacting to things, and people that are like far beneath our situation, they couldn't even relate if they wanted to. And whether or not they want to, oh wow, it's like, that's a whole different story. Not gonna get started on it, but that is what it is. It shouldn't affect you. People are going to be unfair and hypocrites and psychotic and blind beyond reason, and then they're going to be proud of these things too. Like, you should expect all this. This is biblical. God, I talk I think of this scripture so much that you would think I would know the book I read it in, but I'm gonna have to get back to you guys on that one, because for the life of me I can't. But I'll never forget what it said, which was, we will betray, our own families will betray us. God said there will be a time where we'll be fighting wars in our own neighborhoods, brother against brother, child against, or father against son, whatever. And that in all this is sort of God's way of showing you that if you put him first, his energy, his choices, that you can't, that everything else is secondary. And so it seems dark, but I think the point is that all of us have, like, we're blinded by this life. We think that, like, this is all there ever is to anything. And that's sort of what it's meant to do, right? When you're being punished for something, the person in charge isn't going to let you know, like, yeah, this murderer is getting 30 years, but he's going to strike a deal in 5 years and they're actually going to let him out 20 years earlier. You know, they tell the public what they tell the public, and then everyone's all, they're okay, and then they don't focus on it for however long, and then a week later they don't even remember the guy's name. And so, you know, even the judicial system has played a part in this type of behavior because it's natural. Like, these it just makes sense to do it that way because people's minds are not present. Could you imagine in a world where people were hyper focused on what they want, how they're going to get it? Things would be completely different. We're already halfway in that world, but people are using it for the wrong reasons. So that's why a lot of this shit is going on. But once we balance the scales a little and sort of get to the physical of where all this energy is supposed to be, things are just, it's gonna be like surreal. I'm so sick. But yeah, this is gonna sound really weird, but my whole point in all this was that the scripture where God had said that, you know, things were gonna get really bad, and that all we needed to really do was put him first, and all this gave me so much peace. It's really weird that of all the scriptures that's the one that would give me peace. But I'm gonna go read over it one more time, because there's definitely some weird hidden truth there. And it's probably time that people get excited about it.